And we're back. Welcome to Pondering the Orb Season 4. I'm your host, the wandering fantasy author Jay Reckward, and this is a show about books and music. So let's get started with a fresh adventure. Honestly, a lot of the classics this season are just me getting through a 2-year Christmas pile. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Before he was the paragon of fantasy through his establishment in Middle-earth, and before he was an Oxford Don establishing our understanding of Anglo-Saxon, and before he was a soldier in one of the bloodiest battles in World War I, J.R.R. Tolkien was a poet. I've picked some selections from the collected poems that was released in 2024. Let's read. Reading from the collected poems of J.R.R. Tolkien, Volume 1. This is The Dalelands, written between 1910 and 1914. Deep in the vale where the bluebells ring, 'neath the young gay trees that heavenward spring, down in the dale where the emerald spreads, round the prouder grasses flaunting heads, buckled with marsh gold, brave their shoon, and they nod to the eye of the daisy moon, steeped in the warmth and lulled by the hum of the winged workers that go and come, whither only the drowsiest breezes fare, mid the steamy scents of summer air. There are the beds in the leaf-filled bowers, whereon odorous dreams enchant the hours. Reading from the collected poems of J.R.R. Tolkien, Volume 2, this is Moonshine, completed in 1927. The larch's fingers are long and fine, are trembling in the twilight breeze, and wavering in the white moonshine, from shade to shadow under trees, and dances dim the elves entwine, pale fingers flute and fiddle seize, and linked in long rhythmic line, they lilt on lawns and starlit leas. And long they lilt on lawns and meads, to 100 harps in hidden hands, and viewless viols in the reeds, where water wander through the lands. A glint there is of gleaming beads, that faintly flare on feet and hands, of silken roads and silver weeds, and moonlit hair in misty strands. With gold is meshed their moonlit hair, and gleam from pools a-glimmering, the light of the stars doth linger there, in woodwind shades a-simmering. Their sombre limbs are light and bare, their feet like feathers fluttering, with rhythmic beat or breathing air, or wind and willows whispering. The willows in the wind now wail, the fading moon is fallen old, the drooping stars are dim and pale, and the cloudy western havens cold. Afar the flutes now faint and fail, and hush their hidden harps of gold. Normal viols' voices wail, the fallen moon is faded old. Read from Volume 3 of the collected poems by J.R.R. Tolkien, this is My Heart is Not in the Land Where I Live, written sometime in 1966. My heart is not in this land where I live. I am far from home. I have friends that are dear to me, but under their voices are echoes, and beyond their faces are shadows of the land that was my home. Longing is on me, for those that I have lost, and for fields I shall not see again. They have been destroyed, but I cannot forget my home. Not miles nor leagues, nor wide waters lie between us, but days upon days, years upon years, a journey none can retrace. And nowhere now in this world can I find my home. Published this past summer of 2024, New Edge Sword and Sorcery magazine's third issue continues the battle to redefine and expand S&S. Leading the way is Molly Tanzer, who resurrects C.L. Moore's Jeriel of Jory for a new tale, Jeriel and the Mirror of Truth. A hero of sword and sorcery returns to storm the world. Let's read. Jeriel and the Mirror of Truth by Molly Tanzer. 1. Their only warning was a rumbling like thunder, followed by the absonic call of a horn. Then the riders were upon them, the cohort's war horses indiscriminately trampling soft earth, tender flesh, and brittle bone beneath their iron-shod hooves. Some of the villagers looked up in time to see their unexpected assailants. Others did not. It mattered little. The men and women who managed to grab their weapons stood no chance against the heavily armored lancers, nor the ruthless blade wielded like a scythe by their fearsome commander. The riders had chosen a splendid day in early autumn for their massacre. The sky was very blue, and the leaves of the forest beyond the village were just starting to turn gold and crimson. One of the knights grabbed a brand from a cook fire, and the crisp air filled with screams and smoke as the thatch roof of the huts caught alight, adding the orange of flame to the riot of fall color. Those who had tried to hide indoors were driven out into the sunlight, where death found them on the point of a spear or on the edge of a sword. Enough! The word rang clear of the cacophony, clear as a church bell, loud enough to cause the cavalry to rein in their horses. Their speaker was a woman in her middle years who fearlessly stood her ground as the remaining villagers turned and fled. She wore a loose kirtle of undyed linen, and though she wore no shoes, her feet remained strangely clean as she stood in the bloody mud. She had gray-streaked hair that nearly fell down to her waist, held back from her stern face by a silver tiara studded with emeralds. Perched on her hand was a black starling, with a breast speckled like the night sky. "Why have you come here?" She spoke with the comfortable authority of someone accustomed to respect. "What do you want?" The company's leader was already tall, but seated astride a great black warhorse the knight seemed a giant, or rather, a giantess. This intimidating rider was revealed to be a woman after she swept off her plumed helm in one lazy gesture. Her hair was crowned with a crimson mop of short-cropped curls. The face below was too proud to be called comely and too fierce to be called fair. Her features were certainly arresting, and her yellow eyes shone like two lamps. If the lady in the mud was surprised to see another woman, her expression did not betray it. The commander gave a mocking half-bow from horseback. "Madam," the answer to both questions, "is you," she said. "Seize her!" Two knights immediately dismounted to bind the woman's wrists. She allowed it without protest, to the starling's raucous dismay. It flew away and alighted on an aspen branch to croak and trill at its mistress's assailants. They paid the bird no heed. "And what, pray, does the mighty Jarrell of Cocagny want with me?" Jarrell did not reply. Instead, she looked over her shoulder and called, "It isn't." A big man on an enormous gray stallion trotted up beside her. He was insolently handsome, with bright blue eyes, a sensual mouth, and high cheekbones accentuated by a shining black beard. He sat astride the huge animal with the cheerful confidence of a tyrant. "Read the charges," commanded Jarrell. "Of course, my queen," he said with undisguised relish. Itazin pulled a scroll from one of his saddlebags and unfurled it. "Nakay Langloy," he said, "you have aided the enemies of Queen Jarrell of Cocagny with sorcery. Your augury effected the rout of a phalanx at the Millimatu Aqueduct, and your conjurations frightened the queen's champion, Quinion Histernal, into running off a cliff to his death. These crimes were discovered when we captured one of your disciples and occasioned her confession in prison, and you must answer for them with your life." "And my people?" asked Nakay. "They also had to die?" Jarrell smiled. "No," she said, "and that is why some were spared, to spare the word of what happens to those who would harbor insurrectionist witches." Itazin rolled up his scroll and tucked it away. "Shall I dispatch her, my queen?" "Nay," said Jarrell, tossing Itazin her helmet. "I shall met out my own justice." We start the fourth season of Pondering the Orb with one of my favorite bands ripping through melodic death metal right now. A crew of titans from the genre's very foundations who have already delivered 2 classic albums that exemplify why fans of this genre love the Gothenburg style. The halo effect is unstoppable. Taken from their second album, 2025's The March of the Unheard, this is Cruel Perception by the Halo Effect. A hooligan from New Jersey, Moire Lights is a synth sorcerer with a slew of great singles and some wonderful EPs under their belt. Drawing from Azimuth and Constance, the tape edition, the first synthwave track of Season 4 is Daybreak by Moire Lights. That's the first episode of Season 4. Thank you so much for joining me as always. Please check out all the links below in the description, and safe journeys.